Okay, this is the Wisconsin Lighting Lab WiLLcast, and my guest today is Trent Burmesch. Trent is our LED engineering manager, and we're going to have a quick discussion today on a photo cell and occupancy sensor product that we offer. It's a very standard part and product, and we integrate it into quite a few different fixtures. It's the Legrand Watt Stopper, and this is going to be a general overview. I think we'll have other discussions, but more specific topics about this particular product. We use it for indoor applications, outdoor applications. On the outdoor side, it could be shoe boxes, wall packs, area lights, even some of the higher mast applications, although I think there is a mounting height ceiling. Is that correct?
40 feet, yeah.
40 feet, okay. And then on the indoor side, warehouses, manufacturing spaces. At our facility here in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, all of our fixtures are outfitted with this particular product. It's been a really good product for us over the last few years, and in markets like California where they have Title 24, oftentimes things like this are not only a nice to have, they're a requirement for that particular market. So I guess, Trent, to dive in, as far as the functions are concerned, what does this product do?
It's a simple motion sensor. It also does photo cell control, so just on and off at dusk and dawn. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And I know there are some standard settings that it comes with, and once it's installed in the field, there's an iPhone and Android application with a Bluetooth connection where you can adjust them. I know we typically try and ship the product ready to use. But what are the factory settings that the customer might receive it with?
So from the factory, there's the only thing that's enabled is the motion control. The photo control is shut off. It's because it's application specific.
Sure.
There's different light levels everywhere depending on ambient light. So at motion, it turns on to 100%. After 5 minutes, it dims down to 10%. And then after 1 hour, it'll turn the fixture off.
Okay, and then those settings, once the products are installed in the field, the act of changing the settings, can multiple units or multiple sensors be programmed at once, or does it have to be on an individual basis?
So in the app, you can identify each sensor within range. I think it's about 100 feet. So any sensors within 100 feet will get detected, and you just program each one individually, and the light will flash once it's been programmed.
Okay.
And you just go through the list, and you have a preset that you just keep doing the same thing to each fixture. Okay.
And a typical application might be a mall parking lot. I think a lot of the settings that we see contractors and customers demand would be on at dusk using the photo control to 50% output. And then if there's motion in the parking lot, it'll trigger it to some percentage of output. Can we set that percentage, or does it have to go to 100% once it gets triggered?
You can set the high mode, which is when you detect motion. It
Okay.
can be set anywhere from 0 to 100%, and then low mode is 0 to 98%.
Okay. And I can't imagine. I'm trying to think of an application where somebody would set the high mode to anything other than 100%. I know the low mode we've done, a couple large parking garages where they more or less wanted the fixtures on 24/7.
Yeah.
The low mode was, I think it was actually 70%.
Right.
Where the fixture was on all the time at 70. With motion, it would trigger it or switch it to 100%. And then after a couple minutes of no motion, it would go back down to 70.
Right.
So I think for a typical parking lot install, the photo control will kick it on to a certain percentage at dusk. With motion, it'll go up to 100%. After, say, 5 minutes, it'll go back down to 50. And then at dawn, more or less, it triggers it completely off.
Correct.
And the on-off trigger at dusk and dawn, we can also set the sensitivity of that, correct? So it actually, they call it daylight harvesting?
Yes, we can set it with a predetermined foot candle reading. It would be recommended that the customer do that with the app because they're able to do an auto detect, so it picks up any other ambient light around from other light fixtures or other light sources to figure out what is the best level.
Yeah, and like you had mentioned, each application is going to be different. It could be based on the angle, the photo control, relative to the sun. It could be, overhangs on the side of a building. I know on our office space and showroom here, we have some wall pack fixtures with just standard photocells, and depending on the position of the photocell relative to the overhang in the sun, they go on and off at different times.
Yeah.
So like you had mentioned, it's not necessarily possible for us to know the exact setting or application for each fixture. That's why they have the Bluetooth application or iPhone application and Android application, and from there the contractor or the customer can fine tune it. I would imagine that it's kind of an 80-20 thing where there's certain standard settings that would apply for 80% of applications, and I think that we can probably do a better job of identifying what those are and setting them at the factory, but also, as you mentioned, knowing that there is some adjustability that's needed. So,
Yep.
No, that makes good sense. We got photo control, we got daylight harvesting, we have dimming to a certain percentage, and then a ceiling and a floor as far as output. And I think it's a pretty simple controls product, but I think that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, it's very straightforward.
And then, one of the things that we do is we actually integrate this into our products right at the factory. There are certain applications where it might be pole mounted on some type of a coupling on the pole, or it could be at a junction box or a panel where it would actually operate multiple assemblies. But there is a wattage ceiling, so there's probably a certain number of fixtures that can be run off of this product, correct?
Right. So like 120 volt, you're limited to 800 watts worth of fixtures, and then at like a 480 volt input, you're limited to 1200 watts. So there is a range, but
okay. And on the voltage topic, I believe the configuration that we integrate into our products is it's universal voltage. So it works
Correct.
from is it at 100 to 500 watt or volts, or what is that range?
Yeah, so it'll do 100 to 347 volt single phase, and it'll also do 208, 230, and 480 volt phase to phase.
Cool. So it is very turnkey from a power standpoint. Operating temp range, it pretty much follows what a fixture would follow. It's minus 40 C, and is the ceiling, is it 60 or 70 degrees Celsius?
It's actually 75.
75, well, even better.
Yeah.
So that's good. So if the fixture can operate in a particular application, odds are the motion control will as well. And when I talked to our sales team before we jumped on the WiLLcast, one of the questions they had that comes up quite a bit is the standard coverage area. And I know that can change a little bit for high bay applications versus outdoor pole mounted applications, and there's different covers and eyes and optics and things that we can use. But standard coverage area, at say a 30-foot mounting height, do we have a rule of thumb of what that might be?
Yeah, so at about 30-foot mounting height, you'd have like an 80-foot diameter coverage.
Okay.
Yeah, and 40-foot is like 100-foot diameter coverage.
Okay. And does that, I assume just from a math standpoint, that percentage coverage area probably drops off quite a bit if it's like at a 10 or a 20-foot mounting height?
Yeah, if it's below 20 feet, we would probably recommend a different lens.
Okay.
These are interchangeable lenses, so they just pop off. You put on the different lens, and it handles different mounting heights.
Cool. So as a rule of thumb, 20 foot and below might be one lens,
Yep.
and then from there it's 20 to 40 feet would be a second lens.
Right.
And then for high bay applications, how does that change things?
It's the same scenario. They actually work better indoor than outdoor just because of sunlight and whatnot for picking up motion, but it's the same mounting heights. There's also low bay lens that covers 8 to 12 feet. So, yeah, 8 to 12 feet is one lens, 12 to 20 feet is another, and then 20 to 40 is the max.
And ingress protection, what's the IP rating?
It's IP66.
Okay, so it can get wet. It can get a jet of water.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then, a quick note on Title 24, and we don't need to get into too many details on this WiLLcast, but it is generally compliant with Title 24 in California. I'm not an expert on that particular compliance, but I believe it requires fixtures to have two types of lighting controls. In this case, it would be photo sensing and then also motion sensing.
Yep.
And I know we've had contractors that have used our fixtures with these integrated on them to meet those standards. So as far as the application or the software is concerned, what does that look like for a customer? Is it a free app in the App Store?
Yeah, it's free. You can download it today. Anybody can download it on an iPhone or Android device. There's 4 simple icons on the landing page, and you can just go into device profiles and create a profile for your fixtures and save it if you want to, and then just program it when you detect your devices.
So is it always giving off a Bluetooth signal? So it must be powered all the time for wireless, and then once you have the app automatically detects it, or is there some type of an on-off wireless system?
So typically the Bluetooth functionality will stop after a certain number of days. I believe it's like 7 days when it's initially powered on, so that the other people that have the app can't mess with it.
Yep.
You can also create passwords for your fixtures so that you're the only one that can make changes to it in the future. And yeah, it's
So what happens after that initial period if they want to make setting adjustments?
you can cycle the power and it'll restart that 7 days.
Okay. So if more or less if the system gets turned on and off, the entire lighting system, it'll okay.
Input power.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously if the system is shut off, it's not powered, there's no signal, but the next time it shuts on or turns on, it'll be powered. So I would imagine a high bay application where fixtures can be running 24/7, they're always powered on. So that would be a case where it would automatically shut off over a period of time.
Yeah.
For a parking lot, if it's working properly, it probably gets power cycled every single day.
Possibly. I mean, if this is doing the on-off, this will always have power, and this is turning the fixture on and off.
That's true. Yep. So what does the power cycle look like then?
Like you would go to the panel that's feeding the power to the parking lot.
So shut the whole circuit down.
Yeah, shut the breaker off.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything else we wanna mention about this product? I guess one of the important things to make note is if there are setting questions, setting adjustments. We have an application engineering team that can support our sales team or support our sales reps. So if people do have questions, we're happy to help out. Once a contractor or an end user, once they do a couple jobs with this product, it's not like the setting changes or anything are changing constantly. So that kind of knowledge base can be used in other products. But anything else from a support standpoint we want to discuss?
The app itself is very intuitive. There's a lot of questions, descriptions on the app itself, so you can just, when you go into a setting, it describes everything that setting controls, so it's just easier for the end user to use.
Easy is good.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you very